What is going on, guys? Fitcho here, and welcome to my F1 2017 career mode. That is right, guys, F1 2017 is finally here, and we're just going to get straight into things. Let's just jump straight into the career mode, and straight up, we get our team selection, and as you can tell from the title, I am going to be going with Williams Martini Racing. It just feels right to go with Williams on F1 2017. You know, this year marks 40 years in Formula 1 for Williams, of course, debuting back in 1977, and it also marks 20 years since they last won the drivers, or both championships in fact, back in 1997 with Jacques Villeneuve, so it just seems like a nice year to go with them. And also, they are a great team. They've won 9 constructors titles and 7 drivers titles, but it's been a while since they've been at the top of the sport, and I'm going to make it my mission to take them back to the top. Let's go. So, now for the all-important teammate selection, I am going to be going with Lance Stroll. You know, the way things panned out over the off-season, it makes sense to go with Stroll, because it was going to be Stroll and Bottas at Williams for this season. But of course, Rosberg retired, Bottas went to Mercedes, and they brought Massa back out of retirement for this 1 year. So it makes sense for me to fill in instead of Massa for this season. So that's why I'm going to be picking Lance Stroll as my teammate. So, for this career mode, I'm going to be using full qualifying, a 50% race, and the hardest AI difficulty, right up to 110, the max on the slider. I might struggle a little bit at first, but that doesn't bother me too much, you know. You don't expect a rookie to jump in the car for the first time at Melbourne and come straight out of the blocks and be right on the money, right on the pace. They're going to struggle a bit at first, and I probably will a bit myself on 110 AI, but I reckon with a bit of time, a bit of practice on this game, I'll definitely build up the pace, and it should be about right for me. Also, for assists, like normal, I'm going to be running absolutely none.
Yes, and I respect that, but my client has a championship to contest, so if you want our participation, I'm afraid the concessions are mandatory. Yes, that's fine. Get back to me when you can. Goodbye. No one ever just signs the contract. Anyway, thanks for coming by on such short notice. I just needed to cover a couple of quick things with you before you race. Firstly, as requested, there's a copy of your contract. It's a rolling deal. However, the team reserves right of termination if you fail to meet performance standards. You're second driver for now, but work hard, hit your targets, and I'll be able to sweeten the deal. I'm also looking to get you into some invitational events throughout the season. The experience and exposure from these will be great for your image. Plus, you'll get to drive some nice historic cars. Now then, go get ready for the next session. And good luck.
So that was our agent giving us our contract. We are second driver at Williams Martini Racing. And there is our contract. Dear Lachlan, welcome to Williams Racing. We are delighted to have you on board and look forward to working closely with you over the upcoming seasons. You will start as our second driver alongside your teammate Lance Stroll. We expect you will work together to help develop the car and the team as quickly as possible. Now, let's get out there and win some points. Kind regards, team management. So there is our contract. Like I said, our teammate is Lance Stroll, and that mentions a very important part of this career mode, developing the car, and that is something I do want to have a look at, but I don't think we are able to yet. We have to go through one of the practice sessions before that. But now we can open up our laptop and have a little bit of a look. I don't think there is much we can do just yet. Here's an introduction to our laptop. Let's just have a look. We've got the vehicle management. Of course, we can now control which components of the engine we are using. Of course, we only get 4, but we do have the option to add 5th and 6th, and when you do that, you do get penalties. So we have to try and manage these components throughout the season, but the Williams does have a Mercedes engine, so this shouldn't be too bad for us. We should be able to get through the season with 4, I am hoping, with a bit of management.
Welcome to our viewers from around the globe. You join us just as today's practice session for the Australian Grand Prix is about to start.
So here we are, sat in the car for the first practice session of the first weekend of the year, the Australian Grand Prix, our home Grand Prix. Of course, I myself live right here in Melbourne, so I want to do well here, not only because it's my debut, but it is also my home race. Now, one of the features of the practice sessions is you have to do, or you don't have to, you have the option to do these practice programs, and through these, you earn resource points, and those resource points then allow you to buy upgrades to your car, which we'll get to a little bit later. I'm going to go through all of these. We've got track acclimatization, tire management, fuel saving, qualifying pace, race strategy, and then we've got a few team objectives. I'm not going to show you me doing all of these. They're fairly mundane, but hopefully we can go and get purple on every single one of them and get the most resource points possible. So, practice programs done. We got a perfect score on the track acclimatization. That one was really, really easy. The tire management wasn't the easiest. I only got green on that one, which is still 30 out of a possible 50 resource points, which isn't that bad. Fuel saving was probably the hardest of all of them. I found it quite difficult to keep the pace up and look after the fuel for that one. I still managed to get green for that one, so we get a few resource points for that. Qualifying pace, I couldn't quite get the purple time for that, which I think they wanted like objective 5th or something to get the full 50 resource points for the qualifying pace, which is a little bit ridiculous for a rookie in a Williams. I couldn't quite manage that, but I did manage to get the green lap time, which is estimated 9th place, which is into Q3, which if we could do that would be absolutely amazing. And with the race strategy, I also only got green. I didn't push too hard for the purple on that one. And the team objectives, we got everything but the last one, which is a car setup, and I can't be bothered playing around with that. I've already got a car setup sorted, so that is all the practice programs done. Now I think it's time to meet our head engineer, I guess you call him. I think his name's Chris? I can't remember.
You got my message. Perfect. Welcome to home away from home. We get more real-time data from the factory now than ever before, and it all comes through here. So I have to spend more time checking over the reports and less time hunting you down in the hospitality suite. To that end... Sorry, just a sec. Yeah, Chris, is this important? I'm in the middle of something. Okay. Right. Well, that makes no sense. Have Sarah reset the simulation and run it again. Okay. Sorry about that. As I was saying, we've set up a desk for you at the front here. You can get onto the network from your laptop, so make sure to check the R&D screen regularly. And let us know how you want to use the data that we've collected over the weekend and through the practice programs. Also, bear in mind that the news from the factory won't always be good. Sometimes tests fail, like you've seen just now. And when that happens, we have to divert additional resources to fix it. C'est la vie, I'm afraid.
So, that was our head engineer, and now we've got an introduction to resource points. Pretty much, they allow us to upgrade the car. We earn resource points through those practice programs, and then we put them into trying to develop the car, and it looks like we get a lump sum of 2,500 resource points to start off with, as well as the resource points we just earned in that practice session, which we are getting right now. We are going to get 220 resource points from that practice session, so that brings that total up to 2,720 resource points. So let's go onto the laptop and figure out how we want to spend these resource points. So let's go to the R&D tree. You see, it's a lot more in-depth than it was on F1 2016. We've got 4 different aspects. We've got the powertrain, we have durability, we have chassis, and we have aerodynamics. Now, with the powertrain, we're going to just go onto that for a second. We are right near the top. We have a Mercedes engine. In real life, Williams can't really develop the engine. That's Mercedes' job, to develop the power unit. We're a customer to Mercedes in the engine department, so I'm not even going to look at the powertrain for now. I don't think it makes sense to upgrade the powertrain. We already have the best engine, and in real life, we couldn't do it anyway. What we want to look at is the aerodynamics. So I know we are weak in there. We're just ahead of McLaren. Honda, actually, about the 5th best team in the aerodynamics. So that's better than I thought. In the chassis, we're second last in the chassis. That's clearly the area we must focus on, the chassis of the car. So straight away, I'm going to buy the central under tray, which is 1,000 resource points. So yes, we do want to develop that part. And I think that said it should be ready in Bahrain, so 2 weeks from now. We also want to go back. We've bought one thing in the chassis. I want to buy something in the aerodynamics. Either we go for the rear wing main plate or the front wing main plane. Which do we go for? They both seem to have the exact same effect, and then we can either work on the front wing more or the rear wing more, depending on which one we choose. So I think we might actually go for the front wing. Hopefully we can get a bit more front end on the car and a bit more turn in, which should help us a little bit. So we'll go for the front wing main plane, which is another 1,000 resource points. And that is everything we can really do at this stage. Actually, we've got these little things, which is like quality control and the efficiency. So this should help us to make sure that the upgrades better and more reliable, I should say. I believe that's what these do, and it looks like we do have enough to get a wind tunnel quality control, so that's 500 resource points, so I think we'll go ahead and do that as well.
Guess who made the gossip columns this morning? Everyone's talking about this new rival you have. Check his stats out.
So, now we have our first rival of our career mode, Introduction to Driver Rivalry, and it's going to be our teammate, of course, Lance Stroll, the other rookie, or one of the other rookies in Formula 1 this season, I should say. And we also have a voicemail. Let's have a listen.
Hi, how are you? I'm just passing on your qualifying goals for this weekend.
Why didn't you just tell me when you were, like, standing in front of me 30 seconds ago? Did you really need to leave a voicemail? But anyway, the qualifying goals. Qualify in 7th or higher. That's ambitious, let's say. That is very ambitious from the Williams team. Expect a rookie to get into 7th on debut. That's going to be tough.
Welcome to Melbourne, where qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix should be getting underway shortly.
So here we are in qualifying Q number 1. Now, the team expects us to get up into 7th. That is our goal, so it shouldn't be too difficult to get out of Q number 1. So my plan is probably to leave the lap until towards the end of the session, once the track is rubbered in and stuff. I'm still debating if I go out on the Ultras or the super soft tires. It depends on what tire allocations I have here. Let's just have a quick look while I'm talking about. Go over to the tire select. So we have 3 sets of ultra soft tires and 1 set of super soft. So it could be worth trying to get through to Q2 on the super soft. But I believe if you get into Q3, you do get given an extra set of ultras. So I'm not sure we need to worry too much. I think we'll just go for the ultras and go for the safe option to try to get through into Q2. Here we go, we're about to start our one and only lap here in Q1 on the Ultra Softs. Out of the final corner, up towards the line. What is the time? Is it going to be enough? Yes, it is. Up into 8th place. That should be enough to see us through to qualifying 2. So the lap time was enough to see us through into Q2. We ended up dropping down to 11th place, but that doesn't matter. We are through to the next session, but the drivers that aren't through are Jolie and Palmer, the 2 McLarens, and the 2 Saubers. Oh, it is raining. The heavens have opened for qualifying 2. This is going to be interesting. I have no experience on this game in the wet weather conditions, so I'm going to go out on track, put a fair bit of fuel in the car, and just get a feel for the conditions and hopefully find a little bit of lap time. Of course, we need to be in the top 10 at the end of this session to make it through into the final phase of qualifying. And there's heavy rain in 10 minutes, even more reason to get out there as soon as we possibly can. Heavy rain in 5 minutes, so we really need to knuckle down and get in a good lap time. At the moment, both our laps have not been very good. We've only put 1 on the board and we're about to put another on the board, which is even worse. So we're sitting in effectively last place right now out of the people that have set times, so 13th place. We really need to find a bit of time and set a clean lap, but in these difficult conditions it is so hard, especially with this Williams that doesn't have the best chassis. Oh, we got into the wall a little bit there. The back end just skating out from us, but somehow we've actually picked up time from that mistake. Is this lap going to be enough? No, it is not. We're still actually in last place, even though we did make up a little bit of time. It was not enough. And the rain is starting to get quite heavy now. I feel like the heavy rain is starting to hit, so we're running out of time to get a decent time in, but we're actually a second up now, so I'm going to continue on this lap. It hasn't been too bad. Out of the final corner, we've found 9/10 of a second on this lap. Is it going to be enough? No, it's not. We're still in last place. What do we have to do? God. Oh, and now we've spun it. We've spun it. We're in the wall. That's our front wing gone. And we're parked on the race line. That's qualifying over. We're out. That's the end of qualifying 2 and the end of our qualifying for today. Unfortunately, we couldn't find our way into Q3. We just could not find any time in those intermediate conditions. Normally, in the past, I have been good in these conditions, but I just could not find the pace today. You can see, I was almost 2 seconds off the pace of Perez, who was only 1 place in front of me. I had to find over 2 seconds to get through to Q3 and join my teammate Lance Stroll, who has somehow gone through, finishing in 5th place in that session, which is kind of crazy. And I've just noticed as well, both Red Bulls were knocked out of here in Q2, so not a good result for the Red Bulls. They'd be expecting to get through to Q3 at every race of the season, so they will not be happy with that. But it looks like we're going to be starting our first ever Grand Prix from 15th place. So, rivalry update after the first proper session of the season, and we are losing the rivalry already, as Lance Stroll did out-qualify us in the end, unfortunately. And we've actually lost a bit of respect with Force India, Renault, Toro Rosso, and Haas, and with our team a little bit. You know, that qualifying session did not go to plan for us. Those conditions really did throw a spanner in the mix. I thought we were going to be comfortably through to Q3 for a while. I felt we did have good pace. In the dry, that was. The rain came down and sort of screwed up all those plans. With no experience in the rain, I was really learning it right there and then in the session, and I just couldn't learn it quick enough. So, the goals for the race are to finish in 10th or higher and to beat Lance Stroll. See, Stroll is going to be starting in the top 10. I'm not sure where he ended up qualifying. Actually, he was 5th in Q2, but that could be higher or lower for the actual grid where he finished in Q3. But we also need to get up into the top 10, so we have to make up at least 5 places. Oh God, I am praying for a dry race right now.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and Kimi Räikkönen completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Vettel, Lance Stroll, and Magnussen. Sainz, Ocon, Hülkenberg, and Daniel Kvyat. Ricciardo, Verstappen, Romain Grosjean, and Perez are Williams, Palmer, Fernando Alonso, and Stoffel Vandoorne. Wehrlein and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
It is race time here in Melbourne, Australia for our first ever Formula 1 race, our debut and our home Grand Prix, and the heavens have opened. It is raining just like in qualifying, and that is not what we want at all. You will have seen how much I struggled in that Q2 session on the intermediate tyres, and we've just got to hope it does dry up, and yes it does. I've just opened up the race strategy. We've got rain, then it's cloudy, 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 so it is going to dry up very quickly into this Grand Prix. So I'm thinking start on inters, and then maybe swap to the soft compound tyre, and then try to go right to the end. I don't know how long the soft tyres will last here, but we can try it, and it depends how quickly the track dries up. But thankfully, the rain is not going to hang around for too long, and hopefully we don't get swamped in the early phase of this Grand Prix, because there is a real potential of that considering how much we have struggled in these conditions so far. Here we go, engage the clutch, get the revs up as the lights come on. We've got 5 lights. And it's lights out, and away we go. The Australian Grand Prix is underway, and there's been a lot of wheel spin off the line. It's not been the best start in the world, struggling with the traction in these very tricky conditions as Palmer cuts across our line down into turn number 1. I was planning on trying to go around the outside there at turn 1, but Palmer was not going to let me, as now we head down towards turn number 3. Can we try something aggressive on the brakes up the inside of the Renault into turn number 3? Try to give him a bit of a squeeze, and we get that move done. Back into 15th place, a position that we started in as the yellow flags are out. Something has happened up ahead of us, and we are back to green flag racing. Perez has not had the best run. Can we squeeze up his outside? Yes, we can now. He's going up the inside of Romain Grosjean. Can we try to capitalize on this? Yes, we can. Perez has a shocking exit. We go right around his outside and take that place. Now, can we try it up the inside of Romain Grosjean into turn number 9? Yes, we can. And around the outside, get the tail out, and we get the move done into 13th place. What a move on Romain Grosjean. Is up next, we have the other Aussie in the field, Daniel Ricciardo, down in 12th place. He is not having the start to the season that he wanted in the Red Bull. The should be much further up the field, but here comes Romain Grosjean. We're going to defend the inside line as we head up towards turn number 13. We've got the inside line, but we get the back end out as we head through the middle of the corner. Very strange there, but nonetheless, we hold on to the position. We have caught up to the back of Daniel Ricciardo. Can we try to have a good run through turns 11 and 12, which we get very, very sideways through, and that squanders any plans I had to try to get past Daniel Ricciardo down on the brakes for turn 13. Oh, there's a yellow flag out up ahead. What has happened? I am not too sure. I was having a little mistake. Oh, our teammate Lance Stroll is out of the Grand Prix on lap 3. Disaster for the Williams team. He was the lead Williams in this Grand Prix as well, starting out of 5th position or something, I think it was. So that is a disaster. I'm not too sure what has happened to him. The way he was parked up, I'm presuming it must have been a mechanical failure of sorts. Oh, Kvyat is all over the road just in front of us. Can we sneak up the inside of Daniel Ricciardo? Yes, we can, through turn number 8, and I think we have that move done, but he's coming back around our outside, down into turn number 9. We're going to squeeze him out, and we make that move stick. Now up into 11th place and into a Red Bull sandwich, as just in front of us is Max Verstappen, and then in front of him is another Red Bull car. Well, not technically a Red Bull car, a Toro Rosso car, the sister team in Daniel Kvyat, as we have a big slide through turn number 12. And that is music to our ears. Jeff just telling us that the track is drying and we'll be back to dry tyres very soon. And there is the viable strategy change. So we're just going to open that up. And yes, it is dry tyres. So we're going to pit for the dry tyres. Jeff coming in with the viable strategy change. And not that many other cars have pitted. We've got to slow down for the limiter and engage the pit limiter. I was just trying to remember what buttons they all were. Of course, the first pit stop I've ever done on this game, and I'm pretty sure I have to grab the clutch and get the revs up on the exit here. There we go. I think I had to wait for the Force India, which confused me a little bit there. That was a little bit odd, but we are now onto dry tyres. We've lost 1 place to Sergio Perez. It's not ideal that we've lost a place, but we are now onto the dry tyres, and we're actually getting an undercut on some of the guys in front of us. So there was a lot of cars in front of us that did not come into the pits. I feel like we were one of the first cars to pit for the dry tyres. The track is still a bit damp. I can feel it being a little bit slidey under the car, but I think this should help us a little bit with this undercut. There looks to be a lot of cars in the pit lane as we round the final corner. The track is really coming to us on these dry tyres, and where are we going to come back out? We are going to be in 11th place by the looks of things, about where we were before the stops. Of course, Perez did jump us, so we might have just been in the points if we hadn't have been jumped there by Sergio Perez. We are gaining on Sergio Perez as we head up to turns 11 and 12. We don't have the best run through there, and I think we're not going to have a chance to go for the move up into turn 13 like I was planning on doing, so we're just going to have to be patient behind the Pink Panther for now. We are all over Sergio Perez in that Force India. We just need to find a way past the Mexican. We've got DRS. We're going to get the car up into rich revs, and we should hopefully be able to get this move done as we do get the fastest lap of the race up the inside of Sergio Perez into turn number 1, and we make that move stick. Now up into 10th place, into the points, and up into the team objective. Of course, they wanted us to finish 10th or higher, and we are now achieving that if the race were to finish as is. And up next we have the Haas of Kevin Magnussen. He is on the ultra soft tires, so he will definitely be pitting again in this race, whereas I'm not sure if I'm going to need to. The alternate strategy from Jeff did say that I was going to do a super soft stint, but I'm going to see how far I can stretch these soft tires out. Right on the back of the Ferrari powered Haas, get that DRS flap open, get the car into rich revs in the slipstream of the Haas. Is it going to be enough down into turn number 1? No, I'm not going to go for it into turn 1 because I get a second bite at it as we head down to turn number 3 with the DRS yet again, and this time I'm going to go for it late on the brakes up the inside of the Haas. Kevin Magnussen, can we make this move stick? He's got the inside line for turn number 4. We give him a good squeeze up onto the apex. We've got the inside for turn 5, and we get the move done as we squeeze him out on the exit, and now up into 8th place. And up next we have the other Force India of Esteban Ocon on the ultra soft tires. We are really gaining on Esteban Ocon just in front of us, and it looks like he has another car right in front of him, possibly a Renault. I couldn't tell which Renault. I'm assuming this far up the field it would have to be Nico Hülkenberg, and those two seem to be going rather slow. We're catching them at a rapid rate.
Some information on Hülkenberg. They have some kind of mechanical problem.
Yeah, Nico Hülkenberg has some kind of issues. I just clipped that bollard by accident, and I believe he is the car directly in front of Esteban Ocon, so that explains why I am catching them so quickly. And it looks like Ocon has just made that move stick, and it is definitely Hülkenberg just in front of us, and he has some sort of issue like Jeff just told us, so that explains why I was catching them so quickly. And now we need to try to dispatch of Hülkenberg as quickly as we can, not let him hold us up too much. We're not quite in DRS range, unfortunately, but we're really gaining on him. A bit of rich revs down the second DRS straight could be enough to see us past the Renault. He seems to have a real issue with straight line speed. He's even got DRS. We're going to go to the outside of the Renault as we head down towards turn number 3, hard on the brakes, right around the outside of the German, and we make that move stick up into 7th place. And now we need to set about chasing down the Pink Panther of Esteban Ocon. It seems like the Red Bulls are starting to make their way through the field after their poor qualifying. We've got Verstappen just behind us, and he has been closing on us quite rapidly, and I expect to see him right up our chuff very, very soon. Oh, there is a yellow flag out. Kimi Räikkönen is out of the Australian Grand Prix. What on earth has happened to the Iceman? Is this going to cause a safety car? It doesn't seem like it is going to, but that has actually promoted us up into 6th place now in this Grand Prix, and it looks like Max Verstappen, who is just behind us, has actually made a pit stop as Sergio Perez is now behind us in 7th place. And we're still trying to gain on Esteban Ocon, but we're not making all that much ground. You gotta remember, we're on the soft tires and he is on the ultra soft tires, 2 steps softer his tires are than ours, so he's going to be a lot quicker than we are at this stage of the race. So I'm just trying to keep the gap around 1 to 2 seconds and try to look after like the engine and stuff in this phase of the race. So I've been a bit aggressive on it in the first half. Oh, and there goes Esteban Ocon off into the pit lanes. We still have yellow flags out. I'm not too sure what that is for, possibly for debris from Raikkonen's crash. So I saw debris right at the entrance to the pit lane, almost like a car had hit the pit wall. Oh, that's a spin. That is a spin. That is not good at all. We've lost a place to Sergio Perez just going into turn 9. The back end just stepped out on us as we were getting on the power, and round she went just like that. We've lost a whole heap of time that we're now going to have to try to fight back. So end of lap number 18, we're going to be coming into the pit lane. There was a lot of debris there on the pit entrance as we put the limiter on for our second and final stop of this Australian Grand Prix. We're going to be swapping from the soft tyres to the super soft tyres, and we have a decent stop there, 2.4 seconds. Where are we going to pop out of the pit lane? Down in 9th, possibly 10th, possibly outside of the points. Get that limiter off as quickly as we can and back up to speed as quickly as we can, and we just drop out of the points as we go onto the super soft tyres. We've got fresh tyres, fresher tyres than any of the other cars around us who have just popped out ahead of Daniel Kvyat. Now we need to put our head down and catch up to the Haas of Romain Grosjean, who is just in front of us. We need to get up into the top 10. We need to score points in today's race. That is the team's objective. So as we start lap 20, the gap to Grosjean is 1.9 seconds. So it is actually not that much up to the Frenchman. We just need to put our head down and make the most of these fresh tyres to try to catch that Haas. We should theoretically be quicker. The Williams is a slightly quicker car than the Haas. So the gap now is Ricciardo is out of his home Grand Prix. He has major issues and I believe is out of this Grand Prix. Disaster for Daniel Ricciardo in his home race. Unbelievable luck for the Aussie here in Australia, but I missed the gap to Romain Grosjean because of that. I think we gained 2 or 3 tenths based on what the split was after the first 2 sectors of the lap. So the gap is coming down slowly, but is it going to be enough by the end of this Grand Prix? It's down to 1.5 seconds. We've gained 4 tenths over 4 sectors, so it's about a tenth a sector. Oh, yellow flag up ahead. What is this for? Who has run into trouble now? It's Daniel Ricciardo still limping around, so he must not be fully out of this Grand Prix just yet. Just got some sort of major issues to be going that slow. And what I just realized, of course, Daniel Ricciardo having issues, he was in front of us, so that means we are now up into 10th place and achieving the team's goal, so we don't have to pass Romain Grosjean by the end of this race. But still, I want to get past that Frenchman, score as many points as we possibly can on our debut, and I think the gap is now under 1 second, but unfortunately it wasn't at the detection point. We are right on the back of Romain Grosjean in his Haas now as we round the final corner. Get the DRS flap open in the slipstream of the Haas. Are we going to be close enough to try and move down into turn number 1? No, we are not. We're just going to be patient. We get a second bite at it as we head onto the straight between turns 2 and turn 3. We've got the DRS flap open yet again, and we should be close enough to lunge it up the inside, down into turn 3, up the inside of Romain Grosjean, and we get that move done up into 9th place. And now to try and hunt down his teammate, the other Haas, Kevin Magnussen. He's actually on the soft tyres, so he's going to be a little bit slower than we are due to the tyre difference. We have 5 laps to do it. Can we close down the gap to Magnussen and make the overtake and get P8? That is the question. Oh, it looks like the 2 Force Indias are starting to trip over each other, and Magnussen is now right on the back of him. 6th place could be on the cards here in our debut as we almost run into the back of Kevin Magnussen. We're very, very slow through the penultimate corner. Now onto the pit straight. We've got the DRS flap open, but so does Magnussen. We're in his slipstream, but he is in the slipstream of the Force Indias. We're not close enough down into turn 1. Try to get a good run through turn 1. We were very aggressive on the curb there, I will admit. Right on the back of Magnussen with the DRS flap open, up his inside, down into turn number 3, and we should be able to make this move stick, give him a little bit of a squeeze, and we get the move done. Now into 8th place. We've now got both of the Force Indias directly in front of us. Esteban Ocon right there, and then his teammate Sergio Perez just in front of him. It looks like the 2 teammates were tripping over each other in the final sector on that previous lap, and that's just given us a chance at 7th and possibly even 6th place here at the Australian Grand Prix. And the yellow flags are out. What has happened? I'm not too sure. It's Sergio Perez pulling over to the side, and we've got full course safety car on lap 25 of 29. I do not believe this here at the Australian Grand Prix. We've got to slow down to maintain the delta. I was a bit quick to slow down there. With 5 or less than 5 laps to go, 4 laps to go even, we have a safety car at the Australian Grand Prix. I do not believe this. This is going to be a hectic final couple of laps. I think we're only going to have like a 1 or 2 lap dash to the finish. We're sitting in 7th place with the Force India of Esteban Ocon directly in front of us. I doubt anyone is going to pit. We don't want to drop any track position. There's no advantage of getting new tyres for a 1 lap dash if you're going to lose a lot of track position from it.
Safety car in this lap. Safety car in this
The safety car is in this lap. We're only going through turns 1 and 2. We're trying to catch up to the safety car queue. I'm not sure where it even is. We haven't really kept up with the back of Esteban Ocon. Looking at the mini-map, we can't actually see where the safety car cube is. It could possibly already in the final sector with the leaders, because, you know, the Mercedes and the Ferraris are ultra quick. I'm not too sure. What, we're going back to racing? I'm not even at turns 11 and 12 yet. What? We're back to green flag racing. What is this safety car restart? It's complete shambles. And out of all of it, I've lost ground to Esteban Ocon. That is a very questionable safety car restart, as the game lags on me there. I have a massive frame rate drop. Very, very odd safety car restart, and that's, well, our chance of getting Esteban Ocon is gone, because he's actually gotten away from us, because I assumed, you know, the safety car would bunch us all up and everything, so I was saving a bit of fuel for the last lap dash to the finish. That's not going to happen, and now I have no one in front to drag me along, and I have to defend from the Haas's behind us. Oh, there's yellow flags up ahead. What has happened? We're on the final lap. There's only a handful of corners to go, and the yellow flags are out. Has someone run into trouble right at the end of this Grand Prix? It doesn't look like we're going to pick up any more positions. Everyone's going to make it to the flag as we round the final corner up towards the finish line. We're going to finish our debut in P7. That is bloody amazing, to be honest. We had a spin in there as well. We started from 15th on our Formula 1 debut, and we finish up in 7th in the points. A great result there, but who has actually won the race? I believe it might have been Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes. Of course, Mercedes' new man, the man we were replacing at Williams after he was brought over to the Silver Arrows after the reigning world champion retired. Actually, Lewis Hamilton won. I swear I saw Valtteri Bottas winning. I must be going crazy or something. I swear I saw Valtteri Bottas' name come up as the winner, but Lewis Hamilton has been given the win in today's Grand Prix from Valtteri Bottas. And it looks like Sebastian Vettel, of course, Kimi Raikkonen retiring early on in the race. Okay, that explains it. Valtteri Bottas had a 5-second penalty. He did finish first on track, but that penalty means Lewis Hamilton has won the Grand Prix, and Sebastian Vettel also had that same 5-second penalty. Then you got Max Verstappen finishing in 4th place after starting 12th. That is a great result there for the Red Bull. Then you got Carlos Sainz finishing in 5th place, a great result there for the young Spaniard. Esteban Ocon in 6th, of course, myself finishing in 7th on debut. After starting out of 15th, of course, we stuffed up qualifying in the intermediate conditions, and we fought back in the race up to 7th, and that included a small spin at turn number 9. Then just behind us, we had the two Haas's of Kevin Magnussen and Romain Grosjean, and Daniel Kvyat round out the points. Of course, our teammate Lance Stroll DNF'd from the race, along with Sergio Perez and Kimi Raikkonen, and Daniel Ricciardo ended up finishing 2 laps down, so he wasn't actually out of the Grand Prix, just had major issues. Still a disastrous race for the Australian. So the penalties for Bottas and Vettel were both stop-go penalties for ignoring yellow flags, and because they didn't serve the stop-goes, they received a 5-second time penalty instead. So in the rivalry, of course, we did beat our teammate Lance Stroll in today's Grand Prix, with him retiring on lap 3, so we get some valuable points back in our little rivalry, and we actually take the lead 5-3, and of course it is 1st to 30. And we've actually gained a bit of respect from Renault, Haas, McLaren and Sauber, but we've actually lost respect from Toro Rosso and Force India, and most importantly, we've gained respect from our actual team, Williams.
Is this the one?
Indeed it is. And this is Jonathan. He's going to let you drive some of his cars.
Well, not quite my cars, per se. It's a mere detail. You know, I'd really rather be down there racing them myself, to be honest. I'm actually quite handy behind the wheel, but it's the downforce, those lateral Gs, you know? The old neck can't really handle it. So I need a pro. That's where you come in. We run in a bunch of events throughout the year. Time trials, races, all sorts. And I have it on good authority that you have the ability and temperament to do well in these. Make our business look good and, most importantly, bring the cars back in one piece. So consider this a formal invitation. And I'll see you at the track.
So, to round this episode off, we have one classic car event. Of course, classic cars are back here in F1 2017. They haven't been seen since back in F1 2013, and this time they've been implemented into the career mode through these invitational events. And today, we have our first one of those invitational events. We have two options. We have an overtake challenge in the 1996 Williams FW18, of course, Damon Hill's championship winning car, or a pursuit in Japan in the Renault R26, of course, Fernando Alonso's second title-winning car. But we are driving for Williams, so it only seems appropriate to go in the 1996 Williams FW18. So, the challenge is to overtake 12 opponents. I'm driving the FW18, the Williams FW18, and we're at Silverstone, but we're at the short circuit, I believe. We have 3 minutes and 50 seconds to try and pass as many cars as we can. Now, this is going to be interesting. I have not tried any of the classic cars at all yet on this game, so this is going to be me jumping in the deep end for the first time in these cars, seeing how it goes. And what a car to start with. Damon Hill's championship winning car, and we are underway already, and it looks like they are McLaren, possibly MP4s that we are battling against. Yes, it is, as we go around the outside of one and we make up one position. We have another 11 overtakes to make, and this car sounds so good. Just listen to the sound of that car as we get past another there on the straight. This thing, it doesn't necessarily have the straight line speed over these other McLarens, but it has the downforce in the corners. It's about 8 years separating these cars, and a lot of development between there, a lot of extra performance, mainly in the downforce area. You can just see it through the corners. They seem to be almost park it on the apex, and they're going as fast as they can through the corners. That's just how much more downforce we have, as we have made a couple overtakes. We made 3 so far, and we are lining up a 4th as we head through turn number 1, possibly through farm curve, a long left-hander. We've got a nice amount of downforce. We can hold that flat and make that overtake stick. We've made 4 out of a needed 12. Get a nice run onto the hanger straight right on the back of this McLaren MP44 and just sneak past him, and that will be our 5th overtake once we get up towards Stowe, and onto the brakes we go. And I must say, this car is actually really nice to drive. It's not that difficult. It feels really good, as we're going to dive up the inside into the 3rd last corner. We now have half of the overtakes we need to do, and we have over half of the time remaining. Catching up to yet another car right around the outside, which turns to the inside as we jump onto the brakes, and that is 7 overtakes, another 5 more, and we have a car directly in front of us as we head onto the hanger straight. He's sort of parking it there a little bit. We get a better exit, and we get that move done. Only 4 more overtakes to go, but it seems like a bit of a way up to the next few cars. We have a minute and a half remaining in this challenge. Can we do it? I'm not too sure if we can, because we have to actually catch up to the next car. The first 8 have been pretty much one after another on top of each other. Right on the back of yet another, round the outside of farm and onto the brakes. That is 9 overtakes. We need another 3 with 55 seconds to go. I can see 2 cars directly in front of us, but then it's a bit of a gap to the cars in front of them. We might just fall short here in the first classic car challenge. Hopefully get this move done up into Stowe. An awesome corner Stowe is, especially in this car, as this car is just park it on the apex. We get that move done. We have 30 seconds to catch up to that next car and make the overtake. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do this. There is a big speed difference between this FW18 and those MP44s. We have 19 seconds to go. We are a little ways back. Come on, 15 seconds to go. We are very quick through this long right farm curve. That was aggressive, and we've done it. I had to try something stupid to do it, but we have done it. The timer just runs out, and we get it done. We pass the challenge. 11 clean overtakes and one desperate one right at the end when the timer was running out. But nonetheless, we get it done, and we pass the challenge. And I must say that FW18 is an amazing car to drive. It actually felt so good to drive. I am really enjoying this game so far in the classic cars. That's my first taste of the classic cars, and I am very impressed. So, that is going to do it for today, guys. That is the end of the first episode of my F1 2017 Williams Career Mode. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Now, I just want to apologize if I have sounded a little bit weird. I have been a bit sick over the last few days, and I am still sick now as I speak. You know, got a bit of a cold, a sore throat, blocked nose and stuff, so I might have sounded a bit funny, but I wasn't going to let a cold stand between me and making videos for you guys, especially with the new game here. And I must say, I'm absolutely loving it from the few hours I have played. If you haven't already picked up F1 2017, I would highly recommend it. And also, while you're at it, make sure you do subscribe to the channel for much more F1 2017 content. More of this career mode, obviously, and I want to delve into some of the classic cars. I had a lot of fun driving the FW18. I just want to get into some more of the classic cars in some separate videos, and they'll be coming up on the channel very soon. So subscribe for all that F1 2017 content that is coming up very soon. Also, make sure you do like this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been XFitcher, and I'll see you all next time.